You jolt awake in the middle of the night, no sound, no breath except your own, yet the room is cold, as if someone had just opened the window. Moonlight pours in, stretching across the floor like a silver sheet. The wall clock reads exactly 3:33 a.m., but the second hand is frozen, unmoving. Before you can process what's wrong, a thin chill slides across the back of your neck, and from the far corner of the room, a low voice speaks, close enough to brush your ear. "Don't miss the train." Your heart clenches. Cold sweat trickles down your spine. No one in the house could have said that, and the door is still locked from the inside. If every dream is a letter sent by your soul, would you open it immediately? Or would you let it vanish into nothing? Last night, I received a letter like that. In the dream, I was standing in an empty train station. On the third car's vacant seat lay an old, faded train ticket, etched with a strange symbol, like a torn fragment of a map. This is the first piece of a mystery I will reveal throughout this video. You'll find the second piece halfway through, and the final one when we reach the peak of the journey. Nothing in this is by accident. Today, we're going to travel a path that may change how you see your dreams forever. Why are they the most powerful channel for messages from the soul? How to tell a regular dream from one that carries an important message. The 4 types of messages you can receive in sleep. The method to remember and decode them before they fade. And finally, how to expand your awareness so you can connect more deeply with your true self. Have you ever woken from a dream so vivid your heart was still pounding, feeling as if you had just returned from somewhere entirely different? You ask yourself, why did I dream this, and why did it feel so real? Perhaps it wasn't random brain activity. Perhaps it was a scheduled meeting where your soul handed you an urgent message. Carl Jung once said that dreams do not only reflect the personal subconscious, they open a door into the collective unconscious, where the shared memories and symbols of all humanity reside. This means that when you dream, you aren't just stepping into your own story. You are touching the memory halls of millions of other souls, where time and space no longer exist as we know them. But here's the strange part. The human brain erases 95% of a dream's content within just 5 minutes of waking. Why then do certain dreams defy this rule, sticking to your mind with such vivid detail as if determined to carve themselves into memory? In the next part, I'll share with you a true story of someone who received a life or death warning in a dream and survived because they chose to believe it. Have you ever woken from a dream so vivid that it felt almost real, only for it to vanish completely just minutes later, as if it had never existed? Scientists have shown that the human brain erases about 95% of dream content within 5 minutes of waking. This isn't some technical glitch in the mind. It's a programmed mechanism, almost deliberate. The explanation given is that it protects you from information overload. Imagine if every dream, every strange image, every fragmented memory from the subconscious remained alongside your ordinary waking memories. You'd be quickly overwhelmed, drowning in chaos. So the brain behaves like a strict gatekeeper, slamming shut the door to memory the moment you step back into waking life. But this mechanism has a shadow side. What if, among the dreams erased, there was an important message, a warning about the future, or even a fragment from a past life memory? Each time it's wiped away, you lose a chance to understand yourself more deeply, or to avoid a mistake you can never undo. Think back. How many times have you woken with the feeling, I just saw something important, yet couldn't recall it? That feeling, that hollow ache, is not random. It's as if someone intentionally hid the missing piece you needed. So, is there a way to hold on to a dream, to keep it from slipping through your fingers? Some dreams pass through without leaving a single trace, but others etch themselves deep into your mind as if they are shouting, begging for you to pay attention. I once heard the story of a man named David who lived in the suburbs. One night he dreamed he was standing in his kitchen when flames erupted from the oven. Smoke thickened fast, the alarm blaring, and he saw himself trying to open the door to escape, his hands trembling violently. Strangely, in the dream, he noticed a detail. The red wool sweater he was wearing, every loose thread catching the fire's glow. The next morning, David woke up with a strange feeling that was strong enough to share with his wife. They both laughed, dismissing it as nothing more than a ridiculous nightmare. But later that very afternoon, while cooking, the electric oven short-circuited and caught fire. Smoke poured into the kitchen. He was wearing the same red sweater. And because of the dream, he knew precisely which direction to run, exactly where the fire extinguisher was stored, and how to unlock the emergency exit. If he hadn't remembered that dream, he might have been a few seconds too late. And a few seconds could have decided everything. Have you ever had such a dream? One that seemed to foreshadow something about to happen, only for you to remember every detail once the moment arrived. That feeling, half awe, half disbelief, forces you to ask, was this just a coincidence, or was someone whispering from somewhere else? If a dream can save your life, then ignoring it might mean losing your chance to survive. The human brain is a miraculous machine, but it is also limited. It's built to process information through logic, habit, and prior experience. That's what helps us survive in the material world. But it's also what causes us to lose messages from deeper places. When you wake from a vivid dream, especially one with images you can't explain, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for reasoning, immediately begins editing. It automatically labels anything that doesn't fit the familiar rules of reality as hallucination, a product of imagination, or simply nonsense. It's like receiving an important letter, only to have the gatekeeper toss it in the trash, because the return address isn't clear enough. And so, within just minutes of waking, the subtle messages, warnings, reminders, even opportunities, are erased from memory. You return to your daily schedule, convinced it was just a strange dream. But somewhere else, on another plane, someone might be watching you, disappointed that the signal they sent never reached you. Do you realize that sometimes the very intellect we pride ourselves on becomes the wall separating us from the truth? And if dreams are truly fragments from a greater intelligence, then ignoring them is no different than locking shut the only door to your way out. And what will you do if next time that dream is your last chance to change everything? There are moments in life you never expect, yet they touch something deeper than any memory you can name. It might happen when you look into the eyes of a stranger, and suddenly your heart races, as if you've just found someone you lost long ago, or when you step onto a street you've never visited, yet you somehow know every corner, every turn, as though you've lived there an entire lifetime. These moments often arrive wrapped in a vague feeling. I've been here before, but I can't name it. And sometimes a dream becomes the only key to open the door back to the source of that feeling. In a dream, you aren't bound by the rules of time. You aren't forced by reason to make sense of everything. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." What does this mean? It means that if you ignore the signs your unconscious sends, through dreams, through intuition, you will keep drifting along a current you do not control. And here's the fascinating part. Many people have shared that they've recognized memories from past lives, not during waking moments, but within dreams. They've seen faces they've never met, yet are filled with love. They've walked through landscapes they've never visited, yet feel like home. If you've ever felt that, ask yourself, could this be an invitation to return to something that was once yours? And if the answer is waiting in tonight's dream, will you be ready to open that door? Imagine holding a map in your hands. But this is not a map of the present world. It's a map leading you back to experiences, connections, and memories you've carried across countless lifetimes. The surprising part, sometimes that map isn't found in an ancient book or locked away in a museum. It's hidden deep within the very dreams you often forget upon waking. Some people have shared that they dreamed of an old house down to astonishing detail. The carved wooden chair with intricate floral patterns, the faint, lingering scent of agarwood in the air. And then, months later, while traveling to a place they'd never been before, they stepped into that very house. Every detail matched so perfectly that it sent shivers down their spine. Do you think that was a coincidence? Or was it a reminder that reality and dreams are already intertwined, simply waiting for you to notice? Dolores Cannon, the renowned researcher of past life regression, once said, "Dreams are the subconscious mind's way of connecting to other lifetimes." This opens up an alluring possibility that dreams are not just products of imagination, but bridges between you and your other selves across different times and spaces. If you treat your dreams like a map, you'll begin to remember, observe, and look for the coordinates that lead to important clues. It might be a location, a symbol, or a person. And each time you dream of it again, the map becomes clearer. But how do you stop the map in your dream from being erased when morning comes? The answer lies in the next part. Have you ever dreamed of searching for a key, only to find that when you pick it up, it doesn't resemble any key you've ever seen? No jagged teeth, no keyhole. Just a small, compact orb of light resting in your palm. In many ancient cultures, the image of a key of light appears as a symbol of awareness, a reminder that what you are seeking doesn't unlock a physical door, but the doorway to the memory of your soul. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." And that is the essence of this key. It is a metaphor that every answer, every memory, and every path you are searching for begins inside you. I want you to try something tonight. Before you sleep, close your eyes and imagine holding that key of light in your hand. When you wake, write down anything you remember, whether it's an image, a sound, or just a fleeting sensation. You may discover that you've opened a door, and what lies beyond might ensure you never see dreams the same way again. But what happens when that door leads to a place you're not sure you want to see? You step through that door, and the first thing you see is a road that splits in two. On one side, a warm golden light spills over everything, where familiar faces greet you with gentle smiles. On the other hand, a hallway stretches deep into darkness, so silent you can hear the beat of your own heart. According to many spiritual traditions, especially in the teachings of Dolores Cannon, dreams like this are not merely symbolic, they are tests. Light represents the memories you are ready to embrace. Darkness holds the memories buried deep, the truths you may not yet have the courage to face. Here is a hard truth. Most breakthroughs in the awakening journey don't come from light. They come from the willingness to step into the dark. I want you to think back. Have you ever had a dream that left you waking with both fear and curiosity? That may have been an invitation from your soul, a call to uncover what has been hidden. Carl Jung once reminded us, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." But what if, inside that darkness, is the memory of a life you never thought you had lived? You step into the dark hallway, and everything around you begins to shift. You are no longer you, or at least, not the you you've always known. You see unfamiliar scenes, an ancient city with architecture you've never studied. The scent of burning wood threads through the air. The deep, steady rhythm of drums echoes from a distant location. And then, you notice your hands are not the hands you have now. They are older, rougher, or an entirely different skin tone. The feeling leaves you torn, part unsettled, part as though you've just found a long-lost missing piece. Researchers of past life memories refer to this as a borrowed memory, a moment where the soul sends you a slice of another lifetime, often through the most vivid dreams. Dolores Cannon believed that when such a memory appears, it always carries a message or a lesson you need in the present. You ask yourself, if this truly was my memory, then who was I in that life? And the more unsettling thought, what if someone in that memory is also walking beside me in this one? You stroll through the dream's landscape, and then you see them. A face that tightens your chest, not because you know them in this life, but because deep within your mind, you know you've been beside them long ago, in a place entirely different. Their eyes meet yours, and in that moment, everything goes silent. Sound, scent, even the beat of your heart, everything seems to pause. Fragments of memory begin to flood in. Laughter shared in a crowded marketplace. A farewell in the chill of falling rain. A promise that was never fulfilled. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." And in that dream, you feel the change deep in your soul. Some researchers of soul connections believe that encounters like these are not coincidences. They are the intricate arrangements of the universe, reminding you that your present journey is not separate from your past, and that some bonds reach far beyond time itself. You want to hold on to this moment, to ask 100 questions. But as you step closer, the image begins to blur. It's like a door slowly closing, and just before they fade, they smile, as if they know you will meet again. But not in this lifetime. You wake the next morning, and the feeling is still there, not fading like an ordinary dream. Everything is so vivid you could sketch every detail, every line of their face. Then you start to notice small signs appearing around you. A song drifts in from somewhere, its melody strangely familiar. A fleeting scent passes by, pulling at your chest, or the eyes of a stranger on the street meet yours for only a second. Yet you feel compelled to turn back, just to make sure. They aren't the person from your dream. Dolores Cannon, the renowned hypnotherapist with thousands of past life regression cases, once said, "When the soul is ready, it will find ways to remind you of what you came here to do." These signals are not random, they are synchronicities, meaningful coincidences, often showing up during the phase of spiritual awakening. It's the moment when the veil between your current memory and past lives thins, allowing pieces of the puzzle to surface. You start to ask yourself, what does this mean? Why now? And why them? But instead of a direct answer, the universe sends you another sign, and another, as if leading you toward a meeting place you don't yet know. And just when you think you're about to figure it all out, a new dream arrives, and it changes everything. That night, you dream again. But this time, it isn't scattered images or fleeting emotions. You're standing before an ancient door, carved with symbols you've never seen, yet they feel strangely familiar. Light seeps through the crack, not blinding but warm, like an invitation. Your hand trembles as you reach for the handle, but then you notice. There is no handle. You realize that to open it, you don't need physical strength. You need something from within, perhaps a memory, perhaps the soul's consent. Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, once said, "The dream is the small hidden door in the deepest and most intimate sanctum of the soul." As you take a step forward, faint sounds begin to rise. The flow of water, whispers, and the beating of your own heart. Then, just before you can see what lies beyond, you wake. Your heart is racing, and it feels as if you've just missed something important. But the strangest part is, throughout the day, you cannot stop thinking about the door. You ask yourself, if I could return to that dream, would I have the courage to step inside? And sometimes, only when you are truly ready. Will the door open? The next night, you try to return to that dream. At first, it's just patches of dim shadow, but then, the door appears, exactly as before. Still no handle, that warm light spilling out. This time, you feel as if you know what to do. You place your hand on your chest, take a deep breath, and instead of forcing it open, you whisper, "I'm ready." The light suddenly flares. The door doesn't open in the usual way. It dissolves, as if it had never existed, revealing a space overflowing with interwoven images, unfamiliar yet familiar faces, streets you've never visited yet know by heart, moments both tender and painful. You hear a voice, close, clear, yet you can't see the speaker. It murmurs, "You've been here before, and you've forgotten." Dolores Cannon, the renowned hypnotherapist, once said, "When you go deep enough, you find that all lives are connected, and the soul remembers everything." Emotion surges. You want to run toward the source of that voice. But as you take another step, the images before you tremble, shattering like glass. You wake, your skin damp with sweat. But this time, unlike before, you don't just remember the dream. You feel as though a piece of memory has returned. And in that moment, you know, this was never just a dream. After that dream, you start noticing strange changes in your everyday life. There are moments when you look into the mirror and for a split second, the face staring back isn't entirely yours, not in shape, but in the eyes, in the depth behind them, as if someone else is gazing through them. You walk down a street and feel a sudden rush. I've walked here before. Every detail, the echo of your footsteps on the stone pavement, the scent in the air, even your heartbeat, matches a faint memory you can't place. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Your dreams shift too. You begin to see recurring symbols, a key, a white bird, or a slightly open door. Each time you wake, you feel as though you've just missed the chance to remember something important. You also notice unusual coincidences, thinking of someone, and they call, dreaming of a place, and the next day someone mentions it. According to spiritual researchers, these signs serve as clues that a spiritual awakening is underway, and once it starts, there's no going back to the way you were before. But when you awaken, you also open the door to memories you may not always be ready to face. When the door inside you opens, it's not only the beautiful memories that rush in, but also the ones you once tried to forget that find their way back. It could be a scene that makes you shiver, a strange place, yet the pain feels real, as if you had been there, had lost something there. You don't know why your heart races at the sight of a certain object, or why tears fall when you hear an old melody. Dolores Cannon once said, "You are not a body with a soul. You are a soul who has a body, temporarily." And sometimes, your soul carries scars that cannot be seen. You dream of running away. You feel a fear that doesn't belong to this lifetime, as if you are recalling a tragedy from another life. Every detail is vivid. The smell of smoke, the sound of screams, the weight of loss. But when you wake, all that's left is emptiness and a lingering question. Why did I see this? Your mind will try to rationalize. It was just a dream. But your heart insists it was real. And when the two disagree, you fall into a silence heavy with unease. And then, the next dream won't just answer the question. It will make you doubt the entire reality you're living in. Have you ever woken up and felt like you had just stepped out of a world more real than the one you're standing in now? Not a vague feeling or fragments of images like ordinary dreams, but a space with colors, sounds, even the smallest details, like the wind slipping through a door crack or the smell of freshly cut grass, clear down to each breath. In some spiritual awakening journeys, people begin experiencing lucid dreams that feel like they last for hours, even an entire day. Yet when they open their eyes, the clock has only ticked forward a few minutes. This creates a reversal. The dream world becomes solid and enduring, while this reality feels fragile and easily dissolved. Carl Jung once wrote, "What you call dreaming may just be another level of reality, where the soul is freer from material constraints." If that's true, then every vivid dream isn't just a reflection of your mind, but a visit to another dimension where you are still living a parallel life. But there's a secret that can let you stay longer in that world and bring a piece of it back here. In the deepest dreams, sometimes you meet someone whose gaze makes time stop. Without words, you just know. You have met them before. Not in this life. Not in this place. A woman once shared that, in a long, lucid dream, she met a man in a long grey coat standing by an ancient stone bridge. With just one look, memories of distant winters came flooding back. She and he had walked through war, endured loss, and shared their final moments before parting. When she woke, she didn't know his name, but she felt the ache of having lost a piece of herself. Dolores Cannon once said, "Soul encounters in dreams are the universe's way of reminding you that nothing is random. Every glance, every touch has its history." And sometimes, the people we meet in dreams will appear in waking life, carrying the fragment of memory we haven't yet pieced together. Have you ever dreamed of someone, then months later, seen them step into your life? So how do you recognize them in the real world? There is one sign you can't miss. In waking life, this meeting often happens quietly, yet it leaves an aftershock in your heart. It's not the lightning bolt romance from the movies, but a feeling, too familiar to ignore. You somehow know how they will smile before they even do. You sense their breathing as if it has been in sync with yours for a long time. Some people say they meet that gaze and instantly remember a scene from a dream, down to details like the color of the sky, the scent of the wind, or the sound of footsteps. Carl Jung called this synchronicity, meaningful coincidences, as if someone had already scripted your story. Dolores Cannon believed, if someone makes you feel like you've known them your entire life the first time you meet, it's not an illusion, it's a call from the past. Pay attention to these 3 signs. Locked eyes. You find it hard to look away, as if an invisible thread is holding you there. Memory flash from another time. Images or emotions surface that don't belong to your current life. Comfortable silence. No words needed, yet you feel completely safe. Do you have someone like that in your life? Someone you can't explain, but trusted from the very first moment. But the question is, why does the universe bring the 2 of you together again? The answer lies in what's next. Meeting a soul from your past is never random. Every reunion is a puzzle piece in the vast map the universe has laid out for you long ago. Dolores Cannon once said, "Souls return into your life to fulfill a promise, repay a debt, or finish a lesson left incomplete." Sometimes they come to remind you of the power within, a strength you've forgotten in the busy wheel of your current life. Sometimes they act as a mirror, reflecting the parts you try to hide, and often they arrive as a challenge, forcing you to choose, keep repeating the cycle, or step out of it. Carl Jung affirmed, "Meeting is destiny. Your reaction decides the path." The universe doesn't send someone to simply make you happy, but to help you grow, even if that sometimes means breaking your heart. 3 common reasons why the universe reunites 2 souls. Fulfilling a past life promise, something pledged but never completed. Helping each other awaken, triggering memories, abilities, or new awareness. Releasing karmic ties, closing old bonds, resolving unhealed emotions. If someone just entered your life and changed everything, maybe they're not new at all. Maybe they're an old soul, returning exactly when you need them most. But how can you be sure they truly are a soul from your past? There are signs you can't mistake. There are moments when you meet someone for the first time, but it feels like you've known them for hundreds of years. That's not an illusion. It's your soul memory at work. Dolores Cannon called this phenomenon instant recognition, when the soul bypasses all the filters of the brain's memory. The strongest signs often include immediate familiarity, no time needed to warm up. You know their smile, their frown, sometimes even the next thing they'll say. Wordless communication, a look, a light touch, and you both understand like a secret language shared only by the 2 of you. Vivid dreams. You see them in other times and settings, in different roles. Sometimes the dream is so vivid that you remember every detail as if it had happened yesterday. Strong emotional trigger, deep joy, unexplained sadness, or even sudden anger on the very first meeting. That's energy from unresolved past life memories. a sense of something to finish, an inner pull that this connection has a purpose you can't ignore. Carl Jung once said, "What we call coincidence is often just a disguised form of synchronicity." When these signs appear, the universe is whispering that you're standing before an important piece of your soul's journey. Are you thinking of someone right now, wondering why they stir you so deeply? But recognizing the signs is only the first step. The real question is, what will you do with this truth? Meeting an old soul from a past life is not always a gentle gift. Sometimes it is the greatest test you'll ever face. Dolores Cannon once emphasized, "Every reunion is an opportunity to heal or to repeat the cycle." When that soul steps into your life again, you usually stand before three choices. Step in and continue the story. Choose to reconnect and let the relationship unfold naturally. This can bring deep joy, but may also stir old wounds that need healing. Keep your distance and observe. Sometimes the old soul returns not to stay, but to remind you of something important. Watching from afar allows you to learn the lesson without getting pulled into the emotional spiral. Close the door. In some cases, the connection reopens wounds you're not ready to face. Choosing not to continue isn't avoidance, it's protecting your energy and peace. Jung called these reunions synchronicity, meaningful coincidences. They're not random, but the result of invisible threads woven from past lives into the present. If you met an old soul again today, would you open your arms or turn away? But whatever you choose, there's still one final secret that soul leaves behind, and it could change your entire journey. You think it's over. The last conversation, the previous look, the final moment you saw them, feels like a full stop. But it's not. The secret an old soul leaves behind is often not in words, but hidden in the feeling you carry after they're gone. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Sometimes that secret is the missing piece you never knew you were searching for. It could be a buried memory that resurfaces when you smell a certain scent, touch an old object, or hear a seemingly random phrase. It could be an unanswered question that pushes you to keep exploring yourself. Dolores Cannon once shared the story of a client who, after meeting a stranger with an oddly familiar presence, began having recurring dreams of an ancient lifetime. Those dreams led them to a land they had never visited, but when they arrived, they recognized every street and building as if etched into their memory. If that secret has been inside you all along, do you have the courage to open it? Because once you open it, not only the past will change, but the future will never be the same. Imagine standing on a long bridge shrouded in mist. Behind you are the shadows of past lives. Ahead is the road you are walking now. But this bridge doesn't just connect past and present, it determines the direction of your next steps. In past life regression therapy, Dolores Cannon discovered moments of intersection, where past life memories flood into present awareness like a wave, suddenly making sense of why you fear water, love a distant culture, or feel drawn to someone you've just met. These intersections are not random. They are reminders that the red thread of your soul has never been cut. Carl Jung called this synchronicity, meaningful coincidences appearing exactly when you need them, as if the universe is placing a stepping stone on the bridge for you to cross. For example, someone might dream of living in Renaissance Florence, where they could paint in a small workshop. Months later, they travel to Italy, wander into a small alley, and find themselves standing before the exact house they saw in their dream. The feeling of both strangeness and familiarity can bring uncontrollable tears. Have you ever had a moment like that? A small detail, yet it made your entire life feel connected. Because sometimes, just stepping across this bridge is enough to find not only the answer, but also a lost part of your soul. Sometimes, it feels like the entire world is sending you signs. A song plays at the exact moment you think of someone you've lost. A number appears repeatedly wherever you look. A dream with the same setting repeats for many nights. These signs are not random. From a spiritual perspective, they are nudges from the universe, gentle taps reminding you that you're on the right path or that it's time to turn in a new direction. Dolores Cannon once said, "The universe whispers before it has to shout in your ear." Ignore the whispers, and life will send shouts in the form of challenges, crises, or deep losses. Carl Jung believed that when we are ready, meaningful coincidences appear like mirrors of the inner self. Not for you to just observe, but for you to respond with a decision, a step forward, or a shift in awareness. So next time you notice a sign, don't dismiss it. Pause, breathe deeply, and ask, what am I being reminded of here? Sometimes that one question can open the very door you've been seeking. You leave this video as if stepping out of a dream. The images and stories still echo in your mind, and somewhere in the coming week you may encounter a sign, small, but enough to make your heart stir. When that moment comes, remember the bridge, the red thread, and the universe's whisper. Because the journey of the soul doesn't end here, this is only one chapter in a long book, and the next chapter will find you when you are ready.